Hey everyone, so today's video is going to be a little declutter video of all of my magnetic single shadows. So I will just be going through all of the palettes that I have my magnetic singles in and pretty much just decluttering them with you guys and sort of creating my own little custom palette out of the ones that I end up keeping as well. And make sure to let me know down below in the comments if you like these types of videos or what other types of videos you would like to see from me, but I hope you enjoy this. Let's just go ahead and get into it. So I did a thing and I bought some shadows from Makeup Geek. I made this purchase probably in the middle of December because they were having a sale. As you probably know, they sort of rebranded everything and changed everything into square pans. So they were having a sale for, I guess, the shadows they had left over in their round pans. So these were literally like $1 or $2 each. And then I also bought this whole palette filled with shadows for, I believe, $3. So it was a really, really good deal. And I've been wanting to make a more green toned color story palette. So I basically went through the single shadows that were on sale and picked out the more green tones to try to make a green tone palette, because that is like the purchase that is most tempting me. And since for 2021 I am on a no buy, I kind of wanted to attempt making a green palette or purchasing a green palette before 2021 so that I could at least have some greens to play with. So I decided to make a small purchase from Makeup Geek, and basically I'm going to be rearranging these single shadows and hopefully making this into some sort of green 9-pan palette. And along with that process, I'm also going to be decluttering some of my singles. So I kind of have these separated into color stories. So these are just my palettes, magnetic palettes that are filled with my singles. And I want to make this probably like down to 2 palettes, or 3 if you include that 9-pan palette. So one of these I actually want to put together and sell it on Poshmark as like a magnetic palette filled with singles. So I have this magnetic palette that just has 2 of these single Makeup Geek blushes. So I'm just going to be decluttering these. I will be filming a whole collection declutter video soon. I haven't done that yet, but I'm just going to declutter these, and obviously these won't be in that video, but I'm going to put together with these blushes a little eyeshadow palette as well, just out of these singles that I am decluttering. So we'll leave this over here just to add shadows to. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is take all of these ones out of their packaging, I guess. So now I have some more fun green tones, and I'm actually going to pop some of these out of this palette because I'm not going to be keeping all of these, and some of these shades I actually already do have in my collection. So if you're wondering, this is the Fall Harvest palette, the little 9-pan. So these are probably sold out by now. I don't think the sale is going on anymore. But to pop these out, they do have holes in the back, but the sticker is kind of covering it. So I'm going to try to take this sticker off. Okay, so now we have a nice clean palette, and I'm just going to pop these out.
Wow, this one's really stuck. Actually, that one might be glued in there.
That's weird that this one is actually glued into the palette. This is one of their special foiled formulas, so they may have glued it in just because it's extra soft. So these ones tend to break a lot. This is a really pretty transition shade. And I like they actually do have the shade names on the back of these. Hopefully you guys can see this okay. But I think I'm just gonna start with this palette, and I know I'm not gonna keep this red shade. I have a shade like this already from ColourPop, actually, in the Kathleen Lights Dream Street palette. So this one I will be decluttering it, so I'm just gonna add it to my palette over there. Now these deep shades, I feel like I have a lot of deep shades like this. I'm gonna pull these out. So this one is in the shade Aphrodite from the Fall Harvest palette, and I'm pretty sure I have that somewhere in here. Is it this one? Yeah, this one is Aphrodite, so I'm gonna get rid of this other Aphrodite that's brand new. And these three deep browns are very, very similar. This one is more of a chocolate brown. This is very difficult, but I also have this more chocolatey brown. Actually, are those the same color? Yes, so these are the same color as well. So obviously I'm gonna get rid of the brand new one. So only some of these have the names on the back of them, which is kind of weird. But I'm also gonna get rid of this one from the Fall Harvest palette. And now this one is actually very similar and maybe the same color. No, it's not. This one is actually from ColourPop and this one is Makeup Geek. So this is the Makeup Geek shade in the shade Carbon, and then the ColourPop one is Roundhouse. So if you're looking for a more inexpensive dupe, I believe ColourPop is more inexpensive than Makeup Geek, but these are very similar. So I think I'm actually just going to get rid of the ColourPop one because I feel like I like the Makeup Geek formula a little bit better. So I'm gonna pick one of these to keep. These are the shades Americano and Aphrodite. And I guess since that palette already has Aphrodite, I'll just get rid of Americano so that I don't have two of the same shades in the palette that I am going to be selling. And now we have these sort of deeper, warmer tones, or more medium warm tones, I guess. And these two are very similar as well. This is the shade Cocoa Bear from Makeup Geek, and then this is Top Notch from ColourPop. So again, I think I'm just going to get rid of the ColourPop one. I feel like these two shades are very similar as well. This one's a bit more rosy toned. This one's a bit more neutral. So the more neutral one is Made to Last by ColourPop, and then this one is Labyrinth by ColourPop. So I feel like I want to get rid of one of these, but I don't know which one yet. I'm just going to leave those to the side. But this green is actually the same as this green from Makeup Geek. So obviously they're both brand new. So I accidentally bought the same shade that was already in the palette, but that's okay. It was literally $1. So obviously I'm just going to put one of those in my other palette that I'm going to be selling. And I feel like this one is very similar to this brown over here. So I feel like I almost don't need it. This is Cocoa Bear, which was the one I already had. And then the one from the Fall Harvest palette is Cabin Fever. So I will just be getting rid of Cabin Fever since it's brand new. This shade is a very warm brown tone, but it is from ColourPop. It's in the shade Martin, and it's one of those that is sort of matte but has shimmer running through it, so it's not like super metallic or anything. So I feel like I'm just gonna declutter this one. I have other red toned mattes like this in my collection and in other eyeshadow palettes. So now I guess I'll go to the more highlighting shades. So I did actually buy this one because it looked really pretty from Makeup Geek. It's the shade Artemis, and I thought it would be really pretty as an inner corner highlight. And I do already have Blowfish from ColourPop, which is more of a satin finish that I could use as a brow bone highlight. And I also have Vanilla Bean from Makeup Geek, which again is more of that satin finish. It's almost a matte. So I think I'm going to declutter Vanilla Bean because I don't use these more matte cream shades to set down my lid or anything. And I think I will only keep one of these. This one is brand new, but I really like the way that looks over this one. I feel like I want to swatch them. So they are almost identical there, but I do like this one from Makeup Geek just a little bit better. So I'm going to keep the shade Artemis from Makeup Geek, and I'm going to declutter Blowfish from ColourPop. And this is the famous shade Peach Smoothie from Makeup Geek, so I'm actually going to be keeping this. I don't really have any light peachy shades like this. I probably do in other eyeshadow palettes, but I'm just going to keep it for my singles. And then this one is the shade Legend, and I believe I have Legend right here. Yep, so I'm going to be decluttering the new version of it. So these two browns are also very, very similar. This one is I'm so bad at describing shades. I feel like this one is a little bit more light, and they're like almost the same shade, but not really. This is Bel Air from ColourPop, and this is Charcoal Brown from Makeup Geek. I almost want to keep both of them, but I know I don't need to, so I feel like I want to declutter the ColourPop one and keep the Makeup Geek one. Do you see a theme here? I tend to prefer Makeup Geek over ColourPop. So if you haven't noticed already, these are obviously my purple tones, and then I have my more neutral and yellowy tones, and then my more red and warm tones. So I'm definitely going to be keeping Flamethrower by Makeup Geek, although I don't really use that, and I feel like I could declutter it. Actually, I'm just going to get rid of it. I did end up dropping this, I believe, and it shattered. This formula is very soft and it shatters very easily. So I feel like I just never use it, and it's sort of similar. It's just a little bit more deeper and copper toned than Legend. So I prefer Legend over Flamethrower. So I'm just going to get rid of this one. Okay, next we have this really deep shimmery purple, and this is a really deep sort of shimmery brown shade. So I feel like this purple can look very muddy on the eyes, and I would never really reach for this. So I feel like I could just declutter this color. It's in the shade Drama Queen from Makeup Geek. So I think I'm just gonna get rid of this one. I'm definitely going to keep this other shade. It's in the shade Hype, and it's a little bit of a brighter, more jewel-toned purple from Makeup Geek. And then this shade right here is Sleeper from ColourPop, and I feel like I have a lot of these sort of berry tones in my collection, and this sort of shade I feel like kind of gets repeated over and over in eyeshadow palettes more. So I think I definitely have this shade in some of my palettes, so I think I'm gonna declutter this one. And I feel like I need to get rid of at least one of these deeper brown shades. So I have the shade Flathead from ColourPop, Cherry Cola from Makeup Geek, and then Aphrodite from Makeup Geek. And I think I'm just gonna get rid of the ColourPop one. Now I feel like we are making really good progress. I think I want to put together start putting together this 9 pan. So I'm gonna use this sort of highlighting shade in this corner right here, and I probably will end up rearranging this afterwards, but obviously I'm gonna include the green tones in here. So I'm gonna actually start this way. And then this is Take Two from Makeup Geek. This, I forget what it's called, but I already put it in there. It's So Leafing or something leaf. This is Thrive from Makeup Geek. And then this is a more yellowy green. It's actually like a really unique yellow gold color. It's the shade Pixie Dust from Makeup Geek. So I feel like that's a really interesting color. And then I will probably put in just some brown. So I really like this shade Charcoal Brown from Makeup Geek. It's just a really pretty transition shade. So I'm gonna put that one in there. And then I think as we go, we will just figure that out a little bit more. All of these shimmers is the main problem because I love shimmer and metallic shadows, but I feel like I don't need this many. And a lot of these are pretty similar. So this one actually I'm gonna get rid of. It is the shade Heavy Glam from ColourPop. And I also have the shade Over It from ColourPop, which is actually really pretty. And I feel like it's sort of similar to this one, though. This is Come and Get It from ColourPop. So these are more like duochrome shades, though. They sort of have a shift to them. So this one's a little bit more peachy and this one's a little bit more pink. I think I'm actually going to keep both of these for now. And then this is from ColourPop as well. It's Ready Your Yacht, and that one's a little bit more peachy. And this is the shade Ringer from ColourPop. This is also a good highlighting shade. So next we have the shade Roulette from Makeup Geek. I think I'm just going to declutter this. It's like a coppery shimmer, and I feel like I just really don't use these shades, and if I want to, I probably have something like it in my other eyeshadow palettes. I think I'm also just going to get rid of the rest of the metallics in this palette. Okay, so that's it for this more warm toned red palette. And then I have this obviously more neutral tone palette. I feel like some of these will end up going in here. So first of all, this shade is Baby Lights from ColourPop, and I feel like this would be really pretty in a more green palette. So I'm gonna stick this one in here as well. And then I feel like I want some more mattes in here. So I think I'm gonna take this shade. Oh geez, I just dug my nail into that. This shade is Paper Tiger from ColourPop, and it's more of a yellow mustardy tone. So I'm gonna also include that in here. And I have one more spot, so I might include a deeper matte shadow there. But this palette, I feel like this yellow is not very intense. And I also feel like I don't have many yellows in my collection though. But I feel like I also don't use this very often, so I think I'm just gonna declutter this. And then these are some more gold shades. So I'm not gonna go through each of the shades because that's just taking too long. But I am gonna keep both of these, I think. I feel like I should declutter one of them. I'm gonna swatch them. They are pretty different. This one is definitely more orange and this one is a more true gold color. So I think I'm actually going to keep both of them for now. But I feel like I can get rid of some of these metallics. This is a more satin shade. It's Rapunzel from Makeup Geek. My hands are getting filthy, but I feel like I have a lot of highlighting shades already and I feel like I just don't really need this. So I am going to declutter this one. And then we have some mattes here, which this is like a deeper transition peachy shade and then like a deepening the crease shade. So I feel like those are always good to have. And I did get rid of a lot of mattes already. And then we have these metallics. So I feel like a lot of these look similar, but they're different. They are all different. But I feel like I can declutter some of them. I'm going to get rid of this darker shade. This is Paper Crane from ColourPop. I just don't use darker metallics like this. This one is also a little bit darker, but it's not too dark. I really like this shade from Makeup Geek. It's the shade Magic Act. And I don't know, this is difficult. I'm definitely going to keep this one. It's more peachy, but it also looks similar to some of these. So these are pretty similar. I think I'm going to get rid of this deeper one. It's in the shade Board Shorts, and it's really just a bronzy color. So I feel like I have other shades like this in my collection. And then we have these purples, and I really like purples, and I feel like this is a good variety, and there's nothing in here that I don't already have. I feel like these are pretty unique shades, except for this one right here. It's like a really pale pinky shade, and Peach Smoothie is like the peach version of this shade basically. So I feel like this is a really good transition for purple looks though. So I think I'm actually going to keep this one. I also have this more purple transition though. And I do have the Dose of Colors Marvelous Mauves palette, so I feel like this is very similar to one of the shades in there. So I'm actually going to get rid of this lighter matte shade. I feel like it almost, like it doesn't even show up on the lid that much. So I'm just going to get rid of this one. And then I do have some deeper shade. I'm going to get rid of this one actually. This is like a taupey, pretty dark color. So I feel like I wouldn't get much use out of this anyways. This is the shade Dragonfly from ColourPop. And I feel like I have similar shades like this already in other eyeshadow palettes. And then I like this transition shade and that transition shade, but these are also pretty similar, these three. So I feel like I could get rid of one of them. I just don't know which one. This is Unexpected from Makeup Geek. This is Pedal Pusher from Makeup Geek. And this is Take the Lead from ColourPop. This one is definitely a lot more neutral and less cool toned, but I really don't like getting rid of the Makeup Geek shadows. We'll come back to those, but this pink shade right here is really pretty. It's in the shade Hot Pants from Makeup Geek, and it's sort of like a duochrome, but I feel like I just don't use this. It's very bright and sort of out of my comfort zone. And I also have the Jeffree Star Mini Breaker palette, so I feel like there's a similar shade in there to this one. I might be lying, but I'm gonna declutter this one anyway. And I really love this metallic. It's Daydreamer from Makeup Geek. I also really like these shades down here, so I'm gonna keep these ones. And this one, I'm also definitely keeping this one. And I actually might declutter this one. It's the shade Insomnia from Makeup Geek, and it's really dark. It's that sort of copper blue shift that I feel like are in, or used to be in, a lot of palettes and singles. So I have a shade like this sort of in the Anastasia Beverly Hills Jackie Aina palette. It's that sort of duochrome shift. So this one is super pretty though, and it is from Makeup Geek, but I feel like I just don't use it enough, and I can use the one in the Jackie Aina palette if I really want to. So I'm gonna get rid of that. This is a really pretty, more unique, like deeper blue sort of matte shade. It's the shade Stealth from Makeup Geek, so I'm going to keep that just because it is more unique. This is the shade Neutrino from ColourPop, and I feel like I don't get much use out of this. I mean, I don't get much use out of many of my shadows, but that is a shade I feel like I wouldn't really use very often, so I am just going to declutter this one. And this is a really pretty, more vibrant, deep purple. I also feel like there's a shade like this in the Jackie Aina palette, but I think I'm just going to keep this in here for my single shadows to have. And I also really, oh God, I also really like this shade as well. Now we come back to these three matte transition shades. So I think I'm just going to get rid of this one in the shade Unexpected. So I have, actually, I really like that. This is like a perfect neutral transition, and this one's like a little bit more pinky, and this one's a little bit more mauve. So I might just keep all three of these. I've been pretty savage in this declutter already, so I'm gonna keep all these, and I might end up decluttering more later. But to finish off this palette, I think I'm just gonna put this deep matte shade called Dark Roast from Makeup Geek in here. And that is my sort of green palette that I just created. And I'm really excited to use some of these newer shades. So here is my green palette. I guess I will sort of reorganize these palettes. I probably won't do it very intensely right now. I'm just gonna pretty much throw all these in here, but hopefully this is satisfying to watch. Actually, these are way too similar, and this one is actually really similar to the other matte shade I kept, so I'm gonna declutter this shade Made to Last by ColourPop as well.
Oh my god. These are very similar.
I'm also gonna declutter this one, Bottom Line from Makeup Geek. It came in the Fall Harvest palette, but I know I just don't use these deep metallic shades. Okay, so this is my more warm tone neutrally palette, and then I have my more purple cool tones, as well as my little 9-pan palette that I created. So I'm really excited. I definitely decluttered a lot more than I thought I was going to, but I'm really happy with my single shadow collection now. So that is it for this little declutter. I hope you guys really enjoyed it, and I'm definitely really happy with the outcome. I definitely ended up decluttering a lot more than I thought I was going to, but I'm really happy with the little palettes that I created as well. So if you did enjoy this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and I do post new videos about 3 times a week. So if you want to see more from me, make sure to subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell icon to get notified every time I post. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.